Welcome student. In the wastewater management, we are seeing up in the second unit the treatment methods. Okay. So last class we saw about the primary treatment and preliminary treatment and primary treatment. Now we are going to see about the tertiary treatment, or we call it as the advanced water treatment. Adsorption, reverse osmosis, or we call that as RO, and ion exchange, ultrafiltration, freezing and filtration. So we saw in the primary treatment, we saw three methods. One is bar screen, commutators, and we saw in this grid chambers. Okay. So in the primary treatment, we saw two things. One is the sedimentation. Next one, it is the this skimming process. In the secondary treatment, we saw trickling filters, RBCs, RBC, right? We saw this. And now we are going in for the tertiary method, or we call it as the advanced treatment method. We call that as advanced treatment. Okay. So tertiary treatment or advanced water treatment is employed when specific water constraints which cannot be removed. So previous treatment, that is by preliminary, primary and secondary treatment, the impurities, the organic matters that cannot be removed will be removed by this tertiary or advanced treatment method. So the purpose of tertiary treatment is to give the final treatment stage and to further improve the effluent quality so that it can be discharged before it is discharged to the environment. More than one tertiary treatment process can be used for the same treatment plant. So this tertiary treatment is divided into three. One is biological nutrient removal, the removal of suspended solids and removal of dissolved solids. In the biological nutrient removal, we have two methods. One is nitrogen and phosphorus. These are the main effluent that is found in most of the universities, the industries, and particularly in the fertilizer industries. So it is organic. So removal of dissolved solids, it is again divided into three types. Right? Adsorption, solvent extraction, ion exchange, reverse osmosis and electrodialysis. Now we will see about the biological nutrient process. So it is sometimes it is also called as the secondary treatment, or it comes under the tertiary treatment. Wastewater may contain high levels of nitrogen and phosphorus. And what happens when this high levels of nitrogen and phosphorus is taken into the water? A process of eutrophication takes place. Eutrophication is nothing but the green algae which is grown in the surface of the water bodies. So when this green algae grows in the surface of the water bodies, the water body will not get oxygen and other things. But after some time, this green algae will die, causes so many diseases from the water, very odd, bad odor, colors, everything will change. So this is a very serious problem. So to avoid this eutrophication process, we have to treat for this nitrogen and phosphorus. So the algae are unsustainable and die eventually, and decomposition of algae, that is what is eutrophication. So it is an overgrowth of weeds, algae and this cyan bacteria, blue-green algae, and this will prune and it will go for a rapid growth. So after some time, what will happen? This will unsustainable, it is not sustainable and it will die. So this decomposition of this algae becomes very problem. So in addition to cause deoxygenation, some algae species produces toxins which contaminate the drinking water supplies. So when it is there also, it will produce toxins. When it dies also, it is decomposes. It is very causing bad smell and odor. Different treatment processes are required to remove nitrogen and process. Most of the existing water treatment plants are not designed to remove nitrogen. So preliminary, primary, it is a very special treatment. for nitrogen removal, we will go for two steps. One is nitrification, the next one it is the denitrification. So the ammonia is oxidized to nitrites and then to nitrates by aerobic nitrifying bacteria. This is one important thing. So ammonia, that is the main part which is having nitrogen, is oxidized to nitrites. Then again with the help of the oxygen, aerobic bacteria, so with the help of oxygen, nitrates when reacts with oxygen, it forms nitrates. So nitrates are, this is called as nitrification process. Again what will be doing, the nitrate will be again, it will be converted to nitrate will be again converted to nitrogen gas by causing anaerobic bacteria, which we call it as a denitrification process. So the nitrogen gas is released to the atmosphere and this removed from the water. So I tell you, ammonia, from ammonia we will go for nitrites. Okay, nitrites. This nitrates will be in the presence of oxygen, it will form nitrates. Okay, this is called as, this process we call it as nitrification process. So this nitrates, when it is in the absence of oxygen, it will form nitrogen gas. Nitrogen gas, which will be sent to the atmosphere, that we call it as the denitrification. So you can see, so the nitrification process, so the NH4, that is that ammonia will be oxidized in the presence of oxygen, it will form nitrites, and again in the presence of oxygen it forms nitrates, right? This is nitrite, nitrites, this is nitrates. Okay. This nitrates, in the absence of oxygen, it entered into NO2, that is nitrogen oxygen, and will further divided into nitrogen, oxygen and gas, and it will be decomposed into the air. So this is called nitrification process. This process we call it as denitrification process. So nitrification can be achieved in activated sludge process. Okay, we already saw what is activated sludge process in the tertiary, that is secondary treatment method. So that we are taking this as a secondary treatment or tertiary treatment. Okay, along with the usual carbonaceous oxygen with some modification in design. The trickling filters can also achieve the same degree of nitrification by providing specific surface area for supporting medium. So this is activated sludge process, and the trickling filters will be used for the this nitrification process. Two-stage process is better than carbonaceous oxygen and nitrification. 80% of the carbonaceous material is oxidized in first stage, and residual carbon and almost entire ammonia is then passed to the second reactor. It offers greater flexibility. So from primary tank it is taken into the secondary tank, and from this aeration tank air will be allowed, right? Air is allowed to pass through and it is much agitated, and after the agitation then it is taken to the secondary treatment plant. Okay, and again it is going for the aeration tank where again is going in for it, and then it is taken for the secondary treatment plant. So this is we call it as a carbonaceous oxygen nitrification process, and then it is taken for the denitrification process. This is one of the process. In the process of denitrification, nitrates present in waste are reduced to nitrogen gas by anaerobes. Anaerobes are oxygen that is not that is bacteria without oxygens. So you can see here, right? Ammonia, nitrifier, it goes for nitrites. From that it goes for nitrates. Then it is with the help of denitrifying bacteria or anaerobic bacteria, it goes for nitrogen gas. Complete fluid bed biological reactors and fixed bed biological reactors can be used for denitrification. Next one we go for phosphorus removal. Phosphorus removal from aeration tank can be accomplished by precipitation. So phosphorus can be easily settled at the bottom, so it can be used with the precipitation. Okay, so what will happen? We will be adding soap aluminate to the tank. So 1 part of sodium aluminate is required for 1 part of phosphate. How much phosphate is there in the water? Same amount of sodium aluminate will be added. Alternately, we can provide excess air into the tank which results generation of CO2. Otherwise, we will go for a more aeration by which CO2 will be produced and precipitation of phosphate by reaction with CO2 will take place. The third part, how we can remove the phosphate, is the part of 2 parts of alum is required for precipitation for 1 part of phosphate. So the first one, it is the adding sodium aluminate as 1 part equal to 1 part, or else we can provide excess air. Third one, we are providing alum, 2 parts of alum for 1 part of phosphate, right? But everything will be ending in a precipitation process. For higher phosphate concentration, lime treatment is economical. Lime mud mostly used for, and it can be taken for disposal. So the next one, we go for the removal of suspended solids. The one is microstaining. The next one, it is the coagulation and filtering. Okay, microstaining. So removal of suspended solids in advanced treatment implies the removal of those materials that have been carried over from a secondary settler. So microstaining, you can see here. So actually rotating drum type filter to screen suspended solids. So the water will be, it will be having a screen round type, and it will have a mesh, a fabric mesh will be there, right? And screens will be here, and the drums will be supported by the motors so that it can feed. So here in the central dunk, the washing water will be sprayed here, right? It is a dewatering zone, and the solid products will be here, and it will be taken away, right? And the water will be, clean water will be collected, filtration zone, and it is taken for the filtration. You can see here, okay? Washing water. This is solid products because of the what is that suspended solids. Okay, it is taken, and it is suspended solid products are taken, and again it is followed by the filtration, which will remove the further suspended solids. Next one, it is coagulation and filtration, a method which certain chemicals are rapidly dispersed in wastewater to change the characteristics of suspended particles so that they coalesce. Coalesce means come together to form one mass, a whole mass, and sink rapidly. So this is a coagulation. A coagulant will be added. So the coagulant, what will happen? So much of suspended solids will be allowed to hold together and form a very big mass, which will be precipitated in the bottom. Industrial wastewater treatment, coagulation is frequently used for oily emulsions and finely divided and non-settlable solids such as pigments, paper fiber, heat, and tannery treatment. In this process, we go for coagulation. Then after coagulation, it will be filtered so that the particles can be removed. The principle of coagulation can be explained by 2 methods. One is flow formation, next one it is electrical discharges. So flow formation, in coagulant is added to water and thoroughly mixed, it produces a thick insoluble gelatinous precipitate. So it is like that of a form of a ice, right? So it forms this precipitate, we call it as a flow. That is, a flow means a sheet of floating ice. So this we call it as a gelatinous floating substance. So this will be removed. So the flow has a property of arresting the suspended impurities in water during its downward settling movement to the bottom of the tank. So the gelatinous precipitate, we call it as a flow, has therefore the property of removing fine and colloidal particles quickly. The coagulation process also removes color and taste in general. So we will see in the next class about the color and taste. This is also can be removed by this coagulation process. The next one, it is electrical charges. Electrical charges forms the flock. Flocks are the small particles will be combined together to form a bigger particles. We call it as the flocks. So electrically charged positive particles will be mixing with the negatively charged colloidal particles, and it will be forming a big mass which can be removed. So therefore flux attracts the colloidal particles and cause their removal easily by settlement at the bottom of the vessel in which it is use. These are the two types involved. In water treatment plant, following are the usual coagulants used, that is ferrous sulfate and lime, magnesium carbonate, polyelectrolytes, aluminum sulfate, sodium aluminate and chlorinated coppers. So in the tertiary treatment, we have seen about the two methods, that is the biological nutrient removal, like nitrogen, that is denitrification and nitrification process, and after denitrification process we will get nitrogen gas which will be let into air. The next one, it is a phosphorus process. Phosphorus process, it will be formed with a precipitation, right? It will be removed in the form of a precipitation. Okay. And then removal of suspended solids is done by microstaining and coagulation and filtration. So this removal of dissolved solids we will see in the next class. Thank you.